Welcome back to Count Me In, IMA's podcast about all things affecting the accounting and finance world. I'm Adam Larson, and today we're going to listen to Mitch speak with Indra Moeljadi from Switzerland about the evolving role of a finance business partner. In their conversation, Indra talks about business partnering, technology and analytics, strategic decision-making, and storytelling. Let's go to the conversation now.
How has your role as a finance business partner and the head of finance changed over the last few years?
Yeah, so as I progressed in my career, I found out that it's less about the data crunching and more about finding a story within the numbers. Days of going through the numbers on a spreadsheet are becoming less and less. I mean, they still exist, of course, as that's the bread and butter. But now I spend more time putting the numbers into a PowerPoint presentation and then doing some analysis on it and presenting the analysis and the story to the organization. So as a finance business partner, they ask from the people I support, and most of the people I support, they are commercial-minded teams who, they're not really great with numbers. They always ask, how can I help them get certain messages based on the financials across to the organization? And to be able to do that, I need to understand a couple of things. I need to understand the business, what is it that we do? What are the products? How does it work? All that stuff. I need to understand the organization. So who are the people that I'm dealing with, that I'm interacting with? And then also the last thing is, what message is it that they want me to convey? Because that's really important in trying to, be the right business partner. So for me, it's more about understanding and preparing a story and less about data crunching and numbers. And I've seen that over the past few years. And I also see people going into finance roles. The technology is there that enables them to do the data crunching. So, you need to do a bit more than just the data crunching.
How do technology and analytics skills help you and your team understand the business and the message you are trying to share? Has data changed the necessary skill sets and how decisions are ultimately made?
Yes, I believe so. There's a lot of data out there. Take an example. In the past, when I started working almost 20 years ago. Still worked on paper invoices, right? And what we do with paper invoices, we take what's important, only the important bits, because we didn't have the resource nor the capability to store all the information. Nowadays, one transaction has a lot of data points, multiple data points. You have the date, customer, location, payment method, delivery method, stock keeping unit, currency, everything else, whatnot. And now we actually have the resources and capability to store all this data. So yes, we need the technological skills because we need to be able to go through this data and filter out what is important. What do we actually need? And then what we find what's important, we need the analytical skills to come up with a meaningful analysis that will aid the strategic decision-making process. So yes, and when we talk about strategic decisions, these are decisions impacting the future. The data that we have is from the past, it's historical data. So how do we take historical data and make a decision for the future with it and be sort of accurate, sort of where we can predict the future? Now, technology really helps, right? There are lots of tools that can predict and forecast for the future. They can do trend analysis. They can, it's obviously not perfect, but it really helps a lot. But then on top of the technology, we also need our analytic skills and our experience. And that's fundamental. Because we should be able to predict, when the peaks and the dips are in the sales and the expenses. Should be able to predict and calculate return of investment. And then adding our analytic skills and our experience on top of that, then we get a good story, and then we can have the right parameters to make the strategic decision for the organization.
Business partnering, strategic decision-making, these are popular terms today relating to finance. But another one that seems to be becoming even more important, and I know you referenced it earlier, is storytelling. So what exactly is storytelling and how does it fit into the finance function?
So storytelling in finance, to me, is a couple of things, right? One is translating the numbers into something coherent for the audience. Most non-finance people, they get a headache when you show them an Excel table. And I've had that a lot. I give them an Excel table and they just shake their heads and they don't want to even see it. So how do we make these people at ease with numbers, right? So what I do, I replace the numbers with a story, and that makes it understandable for these people. Right? A lot of the senior managers in the organization that I've worked with, they don't have the time, nor the mental capacity to go through an Excel file. So as a finance business partner, it's our task to make the numbers understandable. And to do that, providing a story is a really good tool. And then also another aspect of storytelling in finance is stories have a distinct pattern, right? We learned that when we were children. There's always a beginning, a middle, and an ending. And if you look at strategic decisions that a company is making, they also have a beginning. Beginning is being the reason why do we need to do this, and then there's a middle. The how. What's the process to get there, and then the ending. The ending is being like, what is the objective, right? Obviously, companies start out with the ending first, but then it all goes from a beginning, a middle, and ending. So by putting all this in a story, it will help everybody. Because we are, as humans, we're conditioned to learn about stories. All around us, everything is about a story. Yeah, that's how we are. That's how we grow up. That's how we are conditioned as human beings. Also, storytelling, it's the most powerful tool to pass on a message, right? Whether good or bad, if you put a right story behind it, a bad message can become a good story, and vice versa. If you have the wrong story, a good message become a bad story, right? And so if you have this tool, use it, because then the audience can relate to it, and they can really understand what is going on.
So let's pull all the pieces of this conversation together. What advice can you give to accounting and finance professionals attempting to develop a strategic-driven story to add value to their organization?
So by telling a story, you're adding value to an organization. With your business partner, would they prefer if you just give them an Excel table and let them get on with it? Or would your business partner prefer you tell them what is going on when you show them the numbers? Right? I think it's most cases, I think majority, I'm pretty sure, they just want you to tell them what's going on when you show them the numbers, right? They don't have time to go through the details. So providing a story, it saves time and maybe even resources so that the organization can focus on what they need to do. There's no point in just giving them more things to do and then actually taking time and resources away from stuff that they should be doing. So to be able to tell a story, there are a couple of elements. Right? One is understanding the business. And, like I said before, it means understanding it inside out. What are the products that the company is providing? Well, how does it add value to the customers? How are they produced? What methods is used to sell the products? What is the industry like? Competition, competitive landscape. What do the people think will happen to this industry, next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? And obviously it's sometimes quite hard to predict the future, but, if you understand the business, sort of where it's going to go to, and what it is and how it works. And I think it's fundamental. Even though we're just finance people, I think finance is actually the heart and the center of the organization. We should be able to understand the business based on the financials. The other element is understanding the organization. So what is the hierarchy? How do they react to certain messages? What is the numerical literacy of the business partners and the people you deal with? And if you know what they need, then it also gives you an indication of what kind of story you need to tell. You also need to understand the system that has the numbers in. Nowadays, we use all sort of financial systems, being an ERP consolidation tool. So as a storyteller, you need to know how to get the data, where to get the data, what the data means, but also the source of the data and how it's processed, and then be able to figure out how then it becomes a story. And then the last thing, when we talk about storytelling, everybody's able to tell a story. I mean, it's in school, but everybody's taught how to say a story. The beginning, middle, and ending narrative. So I don't see why it should be difficult to tell a story. Everybody knows how to do it, and I can only stress the importance and the focus of storytelling within finance. Finance is more about just numbers. And to be able to tell a story, you don't need a marketing or a literature degree. You just use your ability to tell a story. Use the technological skills, use your analytical skill. And I think you're probably already doing it without realizing it. So, I think storytelling is really important in finance. And I really hope that people spend more time on improving it and making it more important part of their repertoire.
This has been Count Me In, IMA's podcast, providing you with the latest perspectives of thought leaders from the accounting and finance profession. If you like what you heard and you'd like to be counted in for more relevant accounting and finance education, visit IMA's website at www.imanet.org.